Hi there, and welcome to episode 32 of The Evidence. This is your buddy Dave over at Mars X3D, and people ask, who is that guy? Why does he go on the way? Who does he think he is? Folks, I'm a curious citizen, that's all. You know, I developed a passion early on for finding anomalies, and because of the skill set that I have, and because I was tired of the pareidolia parties online with all the blurry images and the outrageous claims that people were making. Everything was a Rorschach test, and I thought, well, why couldn't I put together a channel where my discoveries and the discoveries by my many colleagues all over the world could be presented in stereographic 3D as a body of evidence for your consideration. So, you know, in the end, this channel, it's not about me, and it's not about my colleagues. It's about the evidence and getting it in front of your eyes in a unique and consistent way. It's about waking people up to the reality of our universe. In doing this labor of love, I have a prime directive. I call it pixel integrity. And what that means simply is that as I work on images, I never alter anything other than to change maybe brightness or contrast to make the whatever it is more visible. So I go to the pixel level and I work with what is actually there. I never put in what I wish was there or what I thought would get me more clicks, and I never falsify the information. I have pixel integrity, and that ties in with personal integrity. And okay, hold on a minute. I'm no paragon of virtue and perfection. I've got all the same warts that you or anybody else has, but I am from an older generation, and I grew up with certain values that help me look myself in the mirror in the morning and not blink. I'll never knowingly misrepresent or falsify any data, and I always try to give credit when I can. That's not always possible. I spend all my time, 40 hours a week or more, in processing. The 3D process is quite involved and quite complicated. So I can't spend hours and hours and hours tracking down a single image. So if I know who found it first by my determination, I'll give you credit. I never steal anyone's intellectual property, not ever. If you feel you've not been credited for a find, simply post a link to your channel showing your find, and it'll get pinned to the top of the comments section. Once a video is posted, it's posted. I won't go back and change it, but I will recognize your claim if it's legitimate. And finally, my comments and my speculation are my own. I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything. Look at the evidence. In 3D, please. Don't nag out on things if you haven't actually viewed it in 3D. Anyway, look at it and make up your own mind. If it's hogwash, just drop it and move along. Don't waste another second on this channel. If you feel this evidence has merit, then please stick around, because there's a lot more to come. I really appreciate each and every one of you who view these episodes in X3D. It's taken years to wake up enough people to this technique, and now is the time to really dive in. So, enough talking, let's go. We're going to start off today with something I call dolmen disaster, and it's an older view from Opportunity. And, you know, a dolmen is a megalithic tomb, and I got the impression from looking at this context view that this was a tumbled down, broken up dolmen or tomb of some kind. Now, of course, that's not what it is. It's just the impression I got. But as we zoom in, I think you'll see what I mean. Moving in on that first target area, we see what might be a perfectly rectangular lintel with parallel sides, and the left end tapers off into an obelisk style, kind of a point. And we look at deeply cut bas-relief figures that run the length of the stone. They're so deep and regular, it just kind of precludes there being natural features. Other possible carvings are all over the place in this image. But note that centered above the word dolmen, there is a circular opening with radiating points on its circumference. Zeroing in now on the piece that I call the dolmen. That's kind of an imposing piece of rock, and it shows perfect symmetry. It's flat. It's got an even face that displays what's called an ogive shape, like if you cut a rocket nose cone from the tip down to the bottom in cross section. That's called an ogive. And the body itself is symmetrically tapered and it has compound curves, which is kind of unlikely in nature. And it also seems to be covered with parallel lines of carvings. Note the deep curves and parallel notches in the foreground stones as well. Now, your imagination, or at least mine, says this is a tumbled and shattered memorial or religious structure covering the hillside. Is that too outrageous a thought? Well, then it's a fascinating rock garden carved into remarkable shapes by sheer chance and the relentless desert winds of Mars. This is one that my sharp-eyed friend Dean Sattler sent to me. Before we dive into it, look at that beautiful Martian landscape. I love the subtle colors, but then I love picking out silk handkerchiefs too. Anyway, there's that wedge down on the left side we need to take a look at. This one blew my mind because it so closely resembles a similar wedge found by Terry Burnett that we presented a couple episodes ago. This one seems to be a bit more worn out than the one Terry found, but you can see the parallel plates and the little sidecar on the left, just like the other one. I'm going to compare them in just a minute, but let's get just a bit closer. What do you make of this? I'll be the first to admit this could occur naturally through erosion, but the fact that another one, almost identical, was found, that is kind of strange, don't you think? I'm going to go back and forth between the two here so you can see what I'm talking about. Here we go. So we'll start with Terry's, and then we'll go over to Dean's, and we'll do it again. See what I mean? Make a nice pair of bookends, wouldn't they? You know, it seems like my friend Laszlo Szabolic surprises me about once a week. This is one he posted on our Facebook page just this past week. And this is way up there on the weirdness factor, so it only makes sense he'd be the one to find it. I meant that in a kind way, Laszlo. Now, you really can't see Jack in this context view, except that there are big anomalies all over the place. You guys go ahead and present them. I'm just going to concentrate on this one. Okay, call me silly or delusional like so many of the trolls do, but that looks like a mailbox with a big old Pinocchio nose sticking out of the center. Is that nuts or what? Let's take a closer look. You tell me, what the heck are we looking at here? Oh yeah, look at the locator dot just below. A cubical box with a rim and a tube coming out of the center, like a primitive box camera. Whatever these things are, you have to admit they seem a bit out of place, don't they? Hey, thanks for stopping by. And you know, there's a link to our Facebook page in the comments down below. And if you stop by, maybe you have an anomaly that could be included in an upcoming episode. Love to see it. Send it on over. Meanwhile, this is your buddy Dave at Mars X3D. Be well.